Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the AAPI Leadership Lab. Today, our wonderful guest is Wendy Song Dowling. She is the founder of Evolution. Wendy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Rico.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So before we get started, we always like to get to know our guests a little bit. So tell us a little about yourself. Where are you from? A little bit about your background and how you came to Las Vegas if you're not from here.
Yeah, definitely. So I was actually born in Shanghai and then moved to Los Angeles in the Singapore Valley area when I was about 11, and then stayed there for about 20 years. When I first came here, I didn't know the language. So I had to learn a new language, adapt to the culture, and make new friends. I was there for about 20 years, went to school for hospitality at Cal Poly Pomona, and then worked in hospitality, sales in hotels, and then international marketing for LA Tourism before starting my own business. I actually moved out to Oklahoma for 2.5 years, joined their remote work community and also tech community, where we build our current product. And then when it's time to scale, when the product's in a better place, Vegas was the obvious choice. So we're here now and been here for a little over a year.
Cool. I want to ask a lot. We'll get into your business a lot more. So I'm going to put a pin in some of those questions just so we can get to know you a little bit more. So growing up, whether in Shanghai or in the LA area, what was the dream as a kid? What did little Wendy want to be when she grew up?
Well, I never really had a clear dream when I was little. I was actually not a great student. I was very rebellious, a procrastinator, things like that. But one thing about me is that I was very curious. So I actually that curiosity led me to working in 20 different jobs when I was from a junior year in high school all the way to, college graduation. And then part of it, one of the jobs I did was like a private investigator. So I thought those experiences really helped me to see what I liked and didn't like while working. And then that kind of helped me in my career path.
Yeah, when you told me about that last time, it sparked my curiosity. So just what is the quick 30-second version of what was it like being a private investigator, and what urged you to do that?
Yeah, well, being private investigator was really fun. I didn't have a license, so I was not officially the investigator on the case. So what happened was I was on Facebook one day and somebody tagged me saying that private investigator was looking for somebody who spoke Chinese. So, and I was like, okay, well, I thought it was just kind of like an admin job, right? But going into it, I realized it was actually interviewing the witnesses, going on the scene, talking to, the owners of the property that we were going into. And I thought it was really fun. Majority of the job I did was customer service. And then being a private investigator, I had to really like push on things when people are not answering the questions or letting us into certain spaces. So that was very different. Yeah.
And just really quick, how long did you do that for?
I did it for one case, so
Okay.
about like a 5-month span.
Okay, cool. It's so interesting how many different kinds of industries people get into. I want to go back to Evolution. So what was the tipping point? What made you want to create this company, and what are the things that you solve?
Yeah. So before Evolution, I always thought I never wanted to be a business owner. I was thinking I would just climb the career, the corporate ladder. And I was before Evolution, I was working at my dream job, right? I was doing promoting Los Angeles to international tourists, and then also learning about the city I was growing up in at the same time. So it was a really fun job for me. Around that time, I was also doing freelance travel influencer stuff. And that gave me an insight into how inefficient our industry was, travel and hospitality industry was, in terms of doing influencer marketing. So it's a very manual process. And then a lot of the influencers were buying, likes, followers, things like that, and then getting jobs. So I thought there has to be a better way to do it. And then my husband, who is also my co-founder, he was looking for influencers to work with, and then how hard it is for him on the other side. So we were like, who else better to create something but the two people working in the industry and experiencing the problem. So that's what led us to creating Evolution.
Nice. And so the question I had earlier was, so you went to Oklahoma. Did you go to like an incubator program? Because it sounded like you went there for 2 years and you came out with this idea.
Yeah, well, so we actually started when we were in LA,
Mm-hmm.
right before the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, because we were in hospitality and travel, we had to shut down the business for a little bit. And because of that, we were looking for places to move, right? Because LA was really, really closed down. We were in a small apartment. The hiking trails were closed. The beaches were closed for a long time. So Oklahoma had a remote work community. So we went out there for that. We were thinking we will just stay there for about a year and then come back to LA, when the pandemic ends. But we found their tech community there and we joined their incubator there. So, and then that led us to develop our platform that we currently have. And then so that took us a while. And after that, once the platform was in a better place, we moved out here to Vegas.
Nice. And how long has Evolution been around? Since this sounds like a one of those darlings that actually made it out of the pandemic. A lot didn't, but you all did.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been around since 2019. So about 5 years, a little bit over 5 years. Yeah. We were started as an agency model. And then build the platform during the pandemic. Pandemic lasted longer than we thought, but we used that time to really hone into what we're doing now, and then restarted. I think it was like 2022.
Okay. And and I'm going a little bit deep on this, but I also want people to understand what you do, and we'll get a little bit into your background also. But say I'm an influencer. Um, what are the services you provide for me if I was an influencer and say a property?
Yeah. So as an influencer, we have a members only platform. So we don't charge the influencers any membership fees, but we vet the influencers. So we make sure that they are creating travel, lifestyle, food content, have real engagement followers before they can use the platform. And then once
Hmm.
they're in the network, they can look at all the different opportunities from travel and hospitality brands, and then apply to them and then connect directly with the brands. Because for influencers, it's also a very tedious process, right? They have to look at what brands to work with, outreach, a lot of negotiations, a lot of paperwork, and then go out there, create content, post it, all that stuff. So we cut out
Right.
almost 80% of the work for influencers on our platform.
Wow.
And then connect them directly with the decision makers instead of having to, find the right person or email or, things like that.
Right. The LinkedIn hunting. Okay, cool. And if people want to know more about your business, we'll provide links in the show notes to your LinkedIn and also to your website. So talking about now you, the business owner, what have been some of the challenges or what were some of the challenges with starting the business and then also to keep it going for so long?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely challenging, right? Especially for first time founders like me. We had no idea how to start a business. We kind of just like, you know what, we have to do this, we'll figure it out. The longest process, I think, in the beginning was thinking of a name and getting a domain name was really hard. I listened to a lot of startup podcasts and then feel like I was bought into the narrative of how hard it is to find a name and URL, and then I experienced the same thing. So I was like, okay, yes, yeah, it was definitely hard. And then we wear all the hats, right? So we are, we built the website, we created the business, we're trying to get our name out there with sales and marketing, the networking, and then also we're designers. We're everything. We wear all the hats. So that's very tough, but also very fun at the same time.
Yeah, it I've owned businesses and yeah, you're almost like the jack of all trades, and you have to put on whatever hat is necessary. Um, so in doing that, this is an API Leadership Podcast. So how has your identity influenced your path, influenced your business decision making, or even the work that you do today?
Yeah, so it has definitely influenced a lot of the processes and journeys, right? It is very difficult in the beginning, coming from China, right? Learning English. I'm always in a space where I'm consistently learning, adapting to the culture and the environment. And then also I felt like there are areas where I was underlooked, or people discount what we do. I have people who said, "Oh, you got this job because you speak Chinese." And I'm like, well, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many people who speaks Chinese. So, but I mean, in the beginning, it definitely let me down a little bit. But knowing what I know now, I feel like it's just about pushing through, right? And then changing the narrative. It's not about, you can see it both ways. You can either let you down or just keep pushing through. And then that's what I did. Just push through the noise, right? You
Mm-hmm.
always have, I guess you always have haters. And then when you have haters, you know you're doing something right.
Absolutely. That's a great mindset to take, right? Would people will hate on you because they're either jealous or they wish they would have thought of it or something, right? And the way I approach things right out of the gate is half the people aren't going to like whatever product you have, whatever you have to say, and that's okay, right? You're not going to make everybody happy, but you are out there for the people that need to hear your message, who want to use your service, who need what you have to offer. Those are the ones that we talk to. So that being said, in building your business or even continuing to grow your business, has it opened doors? Has it closed doors? Like how has it impacted you as a business owner? Because I heard a little bit about your career and school and things like that. But what about you now, the founder, the business owner?
Yeah, I feel like it definitely have opened a lot of doors, right? I always tell my co-founder that we are always in spaces that we never thought we would be in, or we never thought we would belong in, and then now it's just also I enjoy that feeling now. In the very beginning, I was just like, oh, should we be here? Do we belong here? The I guess the best example is when we applied for the incubator in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was like, oh, I don't know if we're a tech company, like, are we supposed to? They're like, oh, you can be tech enabled, and I was like, we're kind of tech enabled. We'll try, right? And then when we were doing the interview with the founder, and he was like, oh, you guys are SaaS, like you're 100%, you 100% belong in our space. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool, So definitely opened a lot of doors. Seeing people who believe in us, and then believe in what we're building as well, and then having those experiences and people who encourage us along the way is very important. Yeah.
So how did you told me your mantra is kind of just to push through, right? And when things get difficult, how did you build that mindset, or how did you build that resiliency to kind of not take no for an answer, and to be willing to push through, not knowing what might be on the other end?
Yeah. I think I don't know how I built it. I think it was also through all the different jobs I had. Right, a lot of times I always apply for things that I didn't have experience in. I was like, oh, I want to try this, and I'm just gonna go for it. You'll get a lot of no's, but you'll get yeses, and then I feel like the yeses really kept me going, right? And then a lot of times I don't have any experience in the job I apply for. I don't think I've ever done the same thing twice. So I was never qualified for the job that I was going for. And then I think that really helped me push through. I was like, oh, you know what? Never say no to yourself for other people. I feel like that's my mantra. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I would help people rewind that and listen to that again. Um, and for you, what keeps you going? What pushes you forward? Like, what are the the amazing things and great things about being a founder and having your own business?
Yeah, I think what keeps me going is my the curiosity, right? I really like seeing other people's processes, how things are done, how things are built, right? When I was working in hospitality, um, I really had the insights of the backstage. I can see what businesses were doing, like hotels, back at the house, a restaurant back at the house, and I really enjoy those processes. And I feel like that's also what helped us build Evolution. In the very beginning, we did everything manually. We started as a agency, one because we didn't have the platform. Second is because I really wanted to see how things worked, right? So instead of so we take on all the manual processes that our clients were doing, and then so
Hmm.
we can see what needs to be automated and what needs to be left alone. um, and then so because we don't want to just automate for the sake of automating, right? Especially for hospitality and travel industry, it's very relationship based, and even with the brand and the influencers. So we want to keep what needs to be kept on a relationship basis, the same way, and then just automate any tedious tasks. And then I think that's for me is just looking through the back end, peeling, open the curtains and then see what can be better.
Yeah, and in that vein, right? Like you got to see all the stuff that happens in the back end. You kind of got to see how the sausage is made, and you probably got to meet some people. But what have been the challenges? Because the influencers, I mean, they're one on one, and maybe that's lower stakes. You can have those conversations. But how is it? How do you get psyched up to have conversations with like these big corporations and these properties that you're trying to pair your clients with? Because I can imagine that can be intimidating sometimes when you're talking to a hotel executive or some resort executive. So how do you get psyched up for that? What kinds of things do you tell yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing I tell myself is, they're just like me. They're human, right? They're a person, and I feel like it's the experience of talking to them. In the very beginning, definitely a lot of I guess self doubt when I'm talking to them. I was like, oh, they know everything they need to know. We're just making the process smoother. Like that's our role. But with most of the conversation comes through that I have had. And then also through those conversations, I learned a lot from those individuals, and I can share the insights from like different perspectives, and I think that really helps as well.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing, right, is it's almost you just trial by fire, right? You just kind of do it. I like what you said though first is they're humans too, right? They bleed red, like they get happy, they get sad, all those things. So knowing that that's who you're talking to, but then also not being afraid to learn on the job, right? Like I think that's a lot of, about being a founder, right? You're saying you wear all the hats. That means you have to learn all the hat tasks.
Yeah, we had to learn everything, and then also again trial by fire as well when we were learning, right? But it's through like conversations. I did catering when I was in hotels, and a lot of times we can't assume anything, right? What the client wants, we have to talk to them to make sure that we get everything they need. So like that's the type of conversations that I have with our clients now, to just make sure that things are the way they want it to see. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, if I was a influencer or if I wanted to connect with you and your clients, what do you look for, or who's your ideal influencer profile? Like who should come see you?
Yeah. So our ideal influencer profile is, someone who is a travel influencer, lifestyle. Our definition of lifestyle is if they go out and eat and then they go travel, right? Or a foodie influencer who want to work with travel lifestyle, hospitality brands.
Mhm.
And we look at the account size doesn't matter as much. Our smallest influencer account is 4,500 followers, just because that we know these smaller accounts can reach a lot of people. They have a loyal following. They can reach a lot of people. With that said, we vet all the influencers through content focus, and then also look at their data to make sure that they will be successful on our platform, right? So like, not just because you have 4,500 followers, I will accept you. It's that your performance, your account performance is significant for the account size, and then be successful on the platform. Like the brands will want to accept your application, basically.
Yeah, it's great that you do that. There's a lot of people like you can do this. You can buy followers, buy likes, buy things, right? But the proof is in the pudding. If you have no interaction, no engagement, then that's the telltale sign, right?
Yeah. So the stats on the outside on the social media platforms is a telltale sign, right? It's the ones that help people vet right now. But because we pull all the stats from social media platforms, we can see all the insights, and we have an algorithm to see if they're actually like buying likes. You can buy comments, you can buy shares, you can buy anything that you can see on social media platforms.
Yeah,
So
so
we're
crazy.
vetting all of those out. Yeah.
Yeah, and then for your client base, is it global? Is it domestic? Like where are you looking for influencers? Like how far out?
Yeah. Oh, so our clients are the hotels and travel businesses. Influencers are not our main client base since we're not charging the influencers.
Hmm.
But we are open to influencers worldwide. We actually have 2%. 2% of our influencer base right now is international. Majority are in the US just because majority of our clients are in the US, but we
Right.
are expanding internationally. So
Cool. Yeah, definitely. If you're listening and you have a following and you're in the travel, food, like lifestyle, definitely give them a look. So now I want to kind of get into some reflections before we ask you advice you'd give your younger self. Are there things that in building a business and being a founder, are there things you would do differently, knowing what you know now about business?
Um, I don't know if I would do anything differently because I believe every experience is a learning opportunity, right? Even if we have done something that I wish, we did differently, but if we, with the experience that we learned from it, but if we went back and then say, hey, let's not do that again, it's from the experience we learned from that mistake. So I can't say if I wish we did anything differently just because of that.
Yeah, I mean, you might not be where you are today, right?
Right.
I'm a true believer in what you said. I'm also a true believer in things happen for a reason,
Yes.
in the way that they happen, because you change one little thing. It's like the butterfly effect. You change one little thing, and it changes the entire timeline of life.
Yes.
Um, that's an amazing insight. Okay, so now getting into knowing what you know now about the 20 plus jobs that you had, the founding business that you've had, you immigrated, you had to learn new languages, all these things. So knowing what you know now about life in general, what would you tell your younger self?
Yeah. I would tell my younger self that like you're capable of more than what you think. Right. Don't be afraid to take up space. Ask for what you want and go after the things that even if you don't feel 100% ready for. And then I feel like going back to what I mentioned about the jobs I've taken. I was never 100% ready or qualified for any of them, but don't be afraid to go for them. And then also that's how you learn, right? That's how you I don't think anybody should like know exactly what you are going into in a job, because different companies have different cultures and different processes anyways, right? So
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Also, some people will think, oh, 20 plus jobs. They may think, oh, Wendy couldn't hold down a job. But I look at it differently, right? Like, so my parents were immigrants. You were an immigrant. You came with your mom, and whatever the reason, our parents always want something better for their kids. So the opportunity we have now is to try different things,
yes.
right? So my parents grew up in the Philippines on a farm. They're were farmers and teachers, and so their parents thought they were going to be farmers and teachers, and they're like, no, like, why do I want to be a farmer and teacher just because everyone else was? So they decided to come here and give us an opportunity to kind of be whatever we want.
Yeah.
So I think that's great advice to just try as many things, right? Like everyone says, oh, find your passion and you won't work a day in your life. If you've only had two jobs, how do you know what you're
Exactly.
passionate about, right?
Yeah.
You might just take the job that people say you're good at and just kind of accept it at face value. But if you weren't, you didn't work at the boba shop, if you weren't a private investigator, if you didn't work in catering, if you didn't work these other things, how would you know you're not missing out on something?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I did. My parents did tell me like, "Oh, stop, changing your jobs. You're gonna have a bad reputation." Because I was in Singapore Valley. It is pretty small, right? You're gonna have a bad reputation when you're like, trying to find a job after graduation. But like, it really depends, right? So like, it depends on how you end the jobs. I always, ended the right way, give 2 weeks notice. But if I was bored. I was bored. I was like, I want to do something else. So yeah, definitely. I feel like experiences, um, I don't want to be like, cliche, but like you only live once, right? So do what you want to do. Don't let other people's opinion of how their life needs to be or how your life needs to be bog you down. And then just, um, don't have any regrets. If you want to do something, just go for it.
I mean, that's beautifully said. And I always practice these things when you said you don't want to be cliche, but they're cliches for a reason because there's usually truth behind it, right? You do only live once, and you don't want to be one of the biggest piece of advice is when I left the corporate world from one of my mentors, super high level executive, was no one under deathbed will ever say they wish they worked more. So why spend our time like doing a job that we don't enjoy? We spend a third of our times or a third of our life working. So you might as well enjoy it, right? If you hate it, then like you're saying you hate a third of your life. And that to me, that's not a way to live. So as much as cliche you think that the things you just said are, they're so true.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I don't know if you are an avid reader, but I ask this of everybody: is there a particular book or maybe video or movie that you would recommend people who are maybe thinking about being an entrepreneur, maybe thinking of starting their own business?
Yeah. So I actually read a lot of self help books, but then I feel like the advice is very general, right? Because they're not talking to you, they're talking to like a general public. So instead of recommending a book, I would say go out and talk to people who are in the shoes you want to be in, who might have similar experiences that you have or want to have, because their advice will be way more relevant to you than like any book will have,
Mhm.
just because it's very targeted towards you, and then it's the advice that you need in the moment.
Amazing, amazing. And a natural follow-up because I offer that advice too. And the instant question that comes after is how do I do that? So what would you say if someone said, well, how do I go about finding a mentor or finding these folks?
Yeah, we do a lot of networking events, right? So we're in spaces that we need to be in. So, like, I go to networking events to meet public relations, marketing, hospitality, startup folks. And then a lot of times you can find mentors or people you want to talk to in those spaces. Or if you can't be in those spaces, then go on LinkedIn, find a person with a job title that you want to be, right? And then in the company, that the type of company you want to be in, and then just reach out to them. A lot of times people are very open to communicating and then talking to you about their experiences. Maybe reach out to a few, and then you'll get some feedback.
Yeah, the worst thing that they can say is no, right? And no harm, no foul. But I use this as an example. If Wendy, if you came to me one day and you say, Rico, I could really use your help, I would be like, yeah, absolutely. What do you need help with? Right. And most people will. Um, don't get me wrong, there are those like terrible people that just don't want to help anyone. There's going to be some of those, but most people, for the most part, they'll want to help you. But the hardest part and one thing you have to do is ask. If you don't ask, then you won't know, right? And if you're willing for someone to say, no, I don't have time, and just take that as for face value, then you'll be fine. You then just move on to the next,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. And then also like what I learned is I used to be very I guess worried about asking certain questions, right? I was like, oh, is that too personal? Is that too direct? But it's not, right? If you're willing to ask the question, at the most is they're like, oh, I don't want to answer that question. Like I'm not comfortable answering that question. But most of the time, I have not heard that as a response. If I ask the question, they're more than willing to answer the questions and then help me or give me insights into the questions I have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's only uncomfortable to answer if it's really uncomfortable to ask.
Right.
So, right? So if you're asking something about like very, very personal, like hygiene or something like that, like
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would ask that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but if it's, some of the things that we talked about here, some people may think being vulnerable, like what were the hardest things, you know, having an Asian American background, like where did that help? Or how did it hurt? Right. So those are great questions to ask mentors because
Yes.
they had to work through it. So if they can help you get through the pain quicker, I'm sure they will do it. I would do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. And so if people want to find you, right, what's the best place to find you? And if there's anything coming up, I think you're going to be on a panel coming up. We don't have dates, but yeah, where can people find you if they want to find you?
Yeah. You can find me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn will be Wendy Song Dowling. And then, or you can, I guess you can, if you want to learn more about my business, you can come on our website, evolution.com. But LinkedIn will be the best place to find me.
Okay, cool. And don't everybody flood her with mentoring questions. Although I'm sure, Wendy, you'll be very, very generous with your time.
Yeah.
Don't everybody rush at once. Okay, cool. Before we adjourn, any last words of advice for anyone out there?
Uh, well, I feel like all your questions cover the advices. I thought they were awesome questions. So no last parting thoughts. Yeah, but I'm happy to reach out. Happy to answer your questions. Happy to give advice or words of encouragement. I feel like those are always needed.
Absolutely, especially in these times, and especially if you're trying to be a founder. As much support as you can. It's highly advised. There's this old African saying that you go faster alone, but you go farther together, and
Yes.
I truly ascribe to that. Uh, I couldn't do anything without my wife, my family, and the mentors I've had in my lifetime. So if you need help, just ask for it, and we're both here for you.
Yes.
And with that being said, this will be the end of this episode. Thank you so much for joining us, Wendy. This
Thank you for
is
having
the
me.
AAPI Leadership Lab brought to you by NAAAP Las Vegas. Have a good one.
Thank you.